Hello, for those who don't know me, my name is Brother Sean, and I'm a member of the Teo community of Interspiritual Franciscans, an international online community of ordinary men and women who seek to follow their own heart. This short video is really a reflection for the soul and for the heart. Wait, listen, and don't defend yourself. But first, I would like to read to you a message I received for Monday, the 20th of August. And it's by Omram Mikhail Ivanov. And he says, because humans are used to expecting everything, beings or things, to come from the outside world, they have a constant need to receive and even to take. For when they do not receive what they expect, they try to obtain it by other means, even most illicit. That is the negative side of habitually expecting everything from the outside. Those who can feel that they have everything within consider themselves so rich they need to give others some of the treasures they can no longer contain. So learn to look for inner wealth. To begin with, you may not find a great deal, but gradually you will be dazzled by the abundance and the beauty of what you are able to discover. Then your only thought will be to share it with others, and because of this constant need to give, you will draw closer to the divinity. And that's an interesting reflection for the heart. In a world that is beautiful, but sadly man has imposed his own agenda on the marginalized, the vulnerable in our society. And what doesn't help, materialism, it seems to zap the very essence of who we are as a beloved of God. Again, I'm going to read to you a message from the Cosmic Christ. Wait with me for a while. I have much to tell you. You are walking along the path I have chosen for you. It is both a privilege and a perilous way, experiencing my glorious presence and heralding that reality to others. Sometimes you feel presumptuous to be carrying out such an assignment. Do not worry about what other people think of you. The work I am doing in you is hidden at first, but eventually blossoms will burst forth, and abundant fruit will be born. Stay on the path of life with me. Trust me wholeheartedly, letting my spirit fill you with joy and peace. Just to digress slightly, it must be 5 or maybe 6 years ago when I was running a spiritual retreat on Good Friday, and we had about 35 delegates attending of different faiths, and it was beautiful that different beliefs could come together to commemorate the birthday of love and light, the crucifixion of Jesus, the barefoot Galilean. He heralded a new era for all of us. But what was so interesting that day, towards the very end, one of the delegates we discovered was a Buddhist, a beautiful man. And he's become a dear friend to our community. His name is Ron. And I was next to Sister Teresa, and he began the most beautiful chant. And what an incredible voice. I thought Tom Kenyon was brilliant, but our brother Ron was incredible. the octave that he could reach. But in the chant, there was such a high pitch to it that the lady doing the flowers for the Easter Sunday service in the church, it was a Methodist church next door to our monastery here, and she nearly dropped the vase and went flying through the door. And a few months later, we had a visitation from the minister to say that some of the people were unhappy that I was bringing the house of God into disrepute. Well, I was appalled. I couldn't believe my ears. And then when I discovered who it was, I realized that there was some idle chit-chat. But the ringleader was herself a retired minister, Methodist minister. And I remember her coming to the gate and challenging me that she'd been on the website and it left her disturbed. She discovered that there was a link to the Essenes and my lineage to the Essenes of Mount Carmel, to St. John the Evangelist and Magdalena and Jesus. And she said, I've never come across that in my training as a Methodist minister. And I could tell from her voice that she wanted an argument, but not any old kind of argument, a theological argument, where she was wanting me to defend what I believed in and get into this cross-party divide. But suddenly I became aware of my inner voice that said, keep your mouth shut. Do not feed her ego. But I was bursting to get into a confrontation. My ego was smarting that this woman should be so openly confrontational, demanding that I explain my position. And was I a Christian? Well, I was just shocked. Of course I'm a Christian, but I embrace all faiths. But that aside, the one thing I've discovered in my journey as a retired nursing monk and now as an enclosed lay monastic Franciscan monk, I come across some beautiful souls who are so wounded, and I come across other souls who are so full of their own ego. And they go to great lengths to describe to you in chapter and verse of all the wonderful things they've done, all the courses, laudable of course. But when a situation cropped up a while ago where we had a member of our community who was encouraged by the trustees to do our Tree of Life course. And this particular member, I could tell by their body language, they weren't having it. And it was important that they did the course because of what was involved in training our new recruits for their 6-month probation. And whilst this person never made a commitment, but they dragged their heels. And then I discovered again through idle chit-chat that came back to me, who does he think he is? Demanding that I do the Tree of Life course. Well, for a kick-off, I demanded nothing. It was unanimously agreed. Even I, the tutor, who had devised the course with a lot of help from the divine, I was willing as well. But the feeling left a bad taste in all our mouths. And what I concluded with afterwards, after much reflection, was a sense of spiritual arrogance. But since then I've come across some beautiful souls who are spiritually advanced souls. But their argument for not going forward, even as a postulant, or as a novice, or as an oblate, or as a monastic, they have an issue with titles and structures. And I get the feeling in my heart, why are they afraid Why are they running away? What have they to be ashamed of, being called a postulant, a novice, or a monastic? There clearly is some hidden agenda, because if God calls you into service, it's an honor. It's not a sentence, it's a joy. So we need to be clear that when God calls us to agape, we are to say yes or no. There's no pressure and there's no force, nor should there be. So I would say to you, whatever you're guided to do, run it by God first in prayer. And if it resonates with your heart, act on that. And don't be minded about what people will think of you, because people being fickle will call you anyway. So take heart by honoring your heart, because it is your teacher. And besides, God knows you by your name, because he called you by your name. So he doesn't need you or I to defend him. He can defend himself. Thank you for listening. Namaste.